Hello, and of course, thank you for watching. This is for those who can and who want to do more. You have options in the description below. Pick the one that fits you best. May I always suggest the membership program because it is the easiest and the most affordable way to support the channel. But understand that by you watching from start to finish, interacting the video helps my algorithm a ton. So don't minimize the essence of viewership. Thank you. It seems like every day we're getting more and more information on the lunatic, Ruby Franke. And of course, Jody Hildebrandt. I'm being stupid. But forget about all the intro. Let's go straight into the story. Follow me along. But first, for those who are new here, I am Alistair Hanzekio, and this is just my point of view.
My gosh, you guys, having kids is so much fun.
New shocking accusations coming from Ruby Franke herself, the disgraced YouTuber mom now charged with multiple counts of child abuse. The Utah mother of 6 now alleges one of her children sexually assaulted one of their siblings and neighbors for years.
Eve has been amazingly well behaved for being in town.
But you yelled at me.
Shh! The fact that I yell at my kids is a secret. We don't want our viewers to know.
The bombshell revelation came last Thursday, according to the Daily Mail. Reports say the 41-year-old mother appeared virtually in Provo, Utah court, where she claimed one of her children started having problems at age 3 when they began looking at pornography. While Franke didn't mention the child by name, she alleged her child sexually assaulted one of their younger siblings, which led to that child sexually assaulting other kids. Franke said this all came to light back in May, when the child came clean, saying they'd abused 20 people, all friends, neighbors, and cousins. Daily Mail reports that during this hearing, the attorney representing a parent of one of the alleged victims asked to be heard, but that judge denied the request. The judge did, however, rule that the child would need to be, quote, placed in a home with no other children. All this just days after Franke and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt, were arrested when Franke's 12-year-old son broke free from Hildebrandt's home by climbing out a window.
Okay, one thing I want to make very clear, the adjective emaciated was used. This is not a random word. This is not something that just pops into your head unless you want to be very specific. You could easily say, hungry, a little tired, but emaciated. I'll get to that point in a little bit. I wanted to start with this segment because a lot can be deciphered from just that one decision of Ruby Franke blaming her son. Whatever reason it may be. Right now, we don't care about the reason. Follow my thought process here. This is the mother of 6 children allegedly tortured. When the police comes to the house in question, her first reaction is, I don't want to speak to you. I want to talk to a lawyer. I mean, this is your alleged abused kid. That's the first word that comes out of your mouth. Red flag. But let's just assume we are stupid and blind and we don't see that red flag. She gets arrested. She gets reined in. She has time to process the day, the series of action behind closed door, behind a cell. The moment she comes out, what does she do? She lashes out. She lashes out at who? At the kid who had the audacity to escape and defy me, the mother, the one who gave you birth, the one who owns you. You dare defy me? I will show you. That is the psychotic, demented thought process in that stupid woman. Because it's not just any excuse, it's a very specific excuse. All right? Listen to what she says. According to the Daily Mail in the UK. Hi, Daily Mail. Hello. Hello, England. Hello, England. She claimed that particular kid was not only watching pornography, at the age of 3 years old. Whose fault is that, mom? Whose fault is that, mom? Whose fault is that, mom? Hey, Ruby, whose fault is that, mom? Whose fault is that, mom? Understand? Okay. And then she said because of the pornography, that particular kid who escaped that house assaulted sexually over 20 people. 20 people. Oh, look at that. No, look, in the way she is portraying the sexual assault is not funneling. It's none of that. It's the full-on penetration, darling. I don't have your mind. Are you sick and insane? So not only did she have time to sit there in her cell, concoct and plan, infuriated, she was completely mad. Her psychopathy was in full flare. And she was like, I'm going to get you, little brat. How dare you? Do you know who I am? I am Ruby Franke. I am the one. I am the woman that no one suspects. And let me tell you why no one suspected. Because, listen. This is why sometimes in life you have to pay attention. If something seems off, it's probably off. Trust your sixth sense. It's not called a sixth sense for no stupid reason. Because sometimes there's just some things you just don't say. But I'm going to give you an inside story here. All right? Listen to this.
But you yelled at me.
Shh. The fact that I yell at my kids is a secret. We don't want our viewers to know.
Please, I'm going to give you a secret here 101. And I do that all the time. I am recording to you pretty much almost live. My editing is literally to a bare minimum. I only clip, put in the little segments, and that's it, my dears. Even with that, it takes me an incredible amount of time of editing. It's insane how time-consuming editing is. Why is that important? It's because the kid in question, they're very young. They don't understand, like, okay, mommy's filming, I need to pretend to be perfect. They don't understand that. Maybe not fully. So she's going to blurt out whatever her brain wants to blurt out. If you're a terrible parent, your kids will tell the truth on you. She did an uncomfortable laughter. And she was like, oh my God, I can't take this take again. This is very genuine. So I'm going to be like, ha 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 ha. I'm going to send subliminal message to my kid. Don't you dare. Because I am angry. Anyway, the second thing that made me really angry about this story is the fact that there was only 2 arrests. I need to see the man in there, but it's okay. I think they're going after him, but he should have been in there since day 1.
Once known as the father and husband in the 8 Passengers YouTube series, Kevin Franke's attorney now says the father of 6 is fighting for custody of his children.
There's a lot to be told. There's a lot of chapters in this book.
Law and Crime Network crews traveled to Provo, Utah this week to sit down with Kevin Franke's attorney, Randy Kester. He says his client had no idea his children were being abused and instead points the finger at Jody Hildebrandt, alleging she brainwashed the entire family.
That once she got involved in their lives, it just destroyed his family. It did. And he's now trying to recover from that and put it back together. He wants it back the way it was.
In recent days, Kevin Franke has stopped speaking with his estranged wife, Ruby, after she dropped bombshell news on him during a jailhouse phone call.
He hasn't spoken to Ruby for about 2 weeks now.
So he did.
Okay, I want to pause there because, listen, this is why you have to be super critical. Critical thinking is a skill. You have to keep asking yourself questions and ask questions to people who are talking to you. If the dots don't align, throw them in the garbage. Do you understand me? Because I am offended that this lawyer thinks I am stupid. Let me explain something to you here, sir. All right? Because according to what's his name? Kevin says that he's been separated from her for 13 months before the arrest. Keep that in mind. And then you want to come here in front of my face and tell me that that they've been speaking the entire time except 2 weeks ago? Really? Because if that's the case, Look, it doesn't even matter how I flip this. It doesn't even matter. Because if that's the case, I want to show you a picture of what an emaciated child looks like. Look, this is the definition. That's the adjective that was used to describe that boy. Do you see this? All right. Okay, fine. This is before the arrest. This stupid deadbeat father was separated, according to him, for 13 months. You mean to tell me the entire time you didn't speak to your son, to your kids? You didn't see them emaciated? You mean to tell me for 13 months you were just not talking to your kids, not seeing your kids? Are you out of your mind? Because if that's the case, Mr. Kevin, then you're still a deadbeat dad. So you're a deadbeat dad whether or not we believe you, and you're a deadbeat dad whether or not we don't believe you. And let me tell you something. You might as well just come forward with the fact that, yeah, I messed up, I'm a deadbeat dad, because that makes it easier to swallow. I'm infuriated at the fact that you think I am stupid, and you think people are stupid not to catch that. You are an idiot. No, this is a stupid plan the lawyer and him put together to try to convince us, the public opinion, to be like, oh my God, it's Judy's fault. Keep that in mind. That's his kid, all right? And you mean to tell me you had no idea that, like, really? Oh, hi, kid. You're hungry? Really? To be emaciated like this, that means you're not eating at all. At all. Well, listen to them lie and be enchanted.
Did speak with her after her arrest, it sounds like then.
He spoke with her, I think there are reports out there actually. He spoke with her a week ago Friday, and that was when he started to realize the broad perspective of the deception that he'd been fed. And in that discussion found out a lot of things from her that he should have been told, he should have been involved, and after the phone call, he just decided that he'd been deceived and hasn't had contact with her since.
In fact, Kevin Franke hasn't even discussed the abuse allegations with his wife.
His backing off from communication with Ruby was because he felt betrayed, he felt deceived, and so he didn't feel like that it would merit any further consultation and discussion between them. But I don't know, he may be following the proceedings, but they're pretty inaccessible. Neither one of us have been willing to drive 250 miles just to go to a short hearing, and it's my understanding that the WebEx links have crashed, and so I just gather information and give it to him about what's going on.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, it's not fair. It's not fair. These are your kids. They are being abused. You're not going to go hell and hot water to protect your children? Okay, that's you. That's not me. So I can't connect and I can't relate. And by the way, this is a me problem. When I find that someone has lied to me or is lying to me in person, I disconnect. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. Don't breathe. Don't talk to me. So I'm not even paying attention anymore. I'm actually quite irritated. I'm just doing this for you. But I'm checked out because anything that comes out of this man's mouth, including his lawyer, is garbage because the foundation are lies. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So I've already made up my mind. This is just for you.
As far as what Ruby has said to Kevin, has she denied these allegations and said it didn't happen?
They have not had that conversation.
Of course.
Is there a reason why?
I think because it's pretty apparent
because he's in on it
from the reports that it did happen.
Oh, yes.
He believes his son, and the reports that his son has given to law enforcement and others.
Okay.
Late last month.
Yeah, because you can't hide from that. You can't hide from that. Do you want to know? Let's play this next part.
So we know that they're business partners, but would it be fair to say that Ruby and Jody are friends?
I don't know. I don't know how to characterize that. I know they did a lot of work together and would often go off together. While Kevin took care of the kids, they would leave and go for days at a time, and while Kevin was taking care of the family. until the separation, and then, of course, he was excluded from all that.
Do you hear that key word? So, yeah, Kevin is no stranger to seeing his emaciated children. Kevin was co-signing on the torture of his kids. You're not going to convince me otherwise. It's right there in front of us. This is before the arrest. This is way before the arrest. These kids were being tortured way before the arrest. And apparently, okay, they've been separated for almost a year before the arrest. I haven't spoken to you kids in a year. You're amazing.
When first responders arrived to Hildebrandt's home last month, they determined 2 of the Franke children required immediate medical attention. In all, 4 of the 6 children were taken into the care of the Division of Children and Family Services. Right now, Kester isn't sure where the kids are being held and says Kevin Franke does not have any contact with them.
I don't know exactly where they are geographically, but the state has foster care placement. They have their own placement at secure facilities, and I can't comment about where they are, but they are in the state's custody within the state of Utah.
He does know it's his client's ultimate goal to regain complete custody of his children.
And does your client have contact with any of his children who are under the age of 18?
Not yet.
Is he hoping for that contact?
Oh, absolutely. That's his ultimate objective, is to be able to have custody of them and to be with them and to guide them and be their father again and to bring his family back together. That is his sole objective at this point.
Before his wife's arrest, Kester says Ruby Franke called her estranged husband, telling him it was an emergency.
She was working, and she pretty much just said, this is an emergency. Because when she first contacted him, I think it was a text.
Do you hear that? She was working. So when they were filming the stupid Mother's Connection and people were buying $15,000 to be taught how to be a good parent by these 2 criminals, the kids were duct taped and chained under in the house over there, while she was just like, ha 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 ha, oh my God, this is how you become a good parent. Do you see the psychopathy going on here? And they were duct taped. They were probably there for a few days. You know, please, content creating is the most exhausting thing ever created. Let me tell you something. Sometimes I go like, So, putting myself in their shoes, they probably spent the whole day filming for a month worth of content. So those kids were there starving in the basement, chained to the wall. This is from the lawyer of the father, by the way. As if this information is supposed to make us feel nice about the dad. Where were you, Dad? 13 months. 13 months. 13 months. Where's the custody battle? 13 months. You were separated? 13 months. You didn't see your kids for 13 months. 13 months. You justify that to yourself, not to me.
It may have been a phone call, and he responded and said, I'm at work. I need to get back to you. And she essentially said, this is an emergency. I need you to come get the kids. So he, of course, tore down there, not knowing any of the details of all this that was going on. 2 of the children, as everyone knows, had already been taken to the hospital. So, yeah, he was prevented from taking his kids home.
But Kester maintains Kevin Franke had no idea his children were in trouble.
And some critics are saying, how could you not know? How could you spend this much time without speaking to your kids? What does he have to say about that?
He was following the advice of who he thought was a professional mental health expert, telling him to stay away. The only way to save his family was to stay apart from his family at that point, while he thought they were working toward reconciliation. He had no idea that there was this kind of abuse going on. She was telling him that everything was blissful and everything was wonderful. That, in conjunction with the fact she didn't tell him that she had taken the kids to southern Utah to be in Jody's home. He would have resisted that, but she didn't tell him. He was being advised by his mental health care professional to stay away from the family and not contact the kids.
Kester does say before his wife's arrest, Kevin Franke received counseling from Hildebrandt.
During the separation, Kevin was attending men's groups that were facilitated by Jody, and during those groups, he was being downgraded and diminished, and told how bad he was, and that he needed to repent, and that the best way to repent was to not infect his family with his problems, and so that's why you need to stay away. He wasn't the only one in those men's groups that was undergoing exactly what he was undergoing at her suggestion and recommendation.
Just so I get a better idea of what these men groups are, would that be, what would that entail? They're going to like a group and kind of talking about things? Who are the people who are kind of like laying down the law, so to speak?
Jody. And they were Zoom meetings.
Not seeing my kids for 13 months. Go suck a lemon. This is really infuriating because it's infuriating because it's insulting my intelligence. It's insulting my intelligence. I hope you're not that easily duped. I hope so. I hope you're not. I hope you're not. What is this? I'm not even halfway done with this. I'm so turned off. I'm not even interested. I'm doing this for you, just so you know. So please press like and subscribe if you haven't done so. This is all for you because my mind and soul is not into this particular person or this particular segment. I'm turned off. I'm not interested in anything this Kevin or anything related to Kevin has to say because it's a lie. Everything is a lie. Listen, it's easy to blame Jody. It's easy because the whole world is against these two women. It's easy. But listen to what's not being said. That is louder than anything these two idiots are trying to make me swallow. I stayed away because, Jody told me to stay away from my kids. For a whole year? For a whole year? For a whole year? Yeah. And by the way, this is a professor. You understand? Yeah. Oh, yeah, for a whole year. And that's just for the month, the 14 months before the arrest. What happened to the months before? What happens to 5 years before? Because you think this abuse is just, 2 years old? This is a systematic abuse. Okay? Suck those lemons. So what are you telling me here? What am I supposed to swallow, sir? He has nice hair. I can't even make fun of you. What am I supposed to eat? There is nothing to eat. Your plate is emaciating.
However, the former client that we spoke with, his name is Trey Warner, and he says that Jody Hildebrandt was really good at using shaming tactics to pit husband and wives against each other. And he also says that she was very good at convincing people that they were dangerous for other people to be around. The angry comments coming into the Connections Classroom social media pages now are just the beginning, according to former client Trey Warner. He joined a support group at the recommendation of a friend trying to improve his marriage. But after a while, he says he grew more suspicious of what Jody Hildebrandt was teaching.
It started to feel more and more evil. And I finally, in one of the group meetings, I got up and I just said, this is off.
Warner claims Hildebrandt would use shaming tactics to turn husbands and wives against each other, adding that she would convince men that their impure thoughts made them dangerous to their families. He says he saw one case during a group session.
There was a man that had a successful business that believed that he was a danger to his wife and his family because he did a double take. As a woman, like if he saw a beautiful woman, he would see and he'd look again. This guy got his own apartment and separated from his family because he was a danger.
In some cases, Warner claims husbands were separated from their families for so long, they were considering suicide.
They felt so sick and like such a failure that they just felt like they shouldn't be here anymore.
The self-help videos on the Connections Classroom website have been removed by YouTube. The Division of Professional Licensing has an open case against Hildebrandt, and her license is active. However, Division Director Mark Franke says they are allowed to revoke a therapist's license if they believe harm is imminent.
Our harm would not just be physical harm, especially in mental health therapy.
Steinigel says the investigation process can sometimes be a lengthy one.
How can you assure the public that when a complaint comes in, it isn't just brushed aside.
Yeah. I wish that I could help each member of the public to watch my team when they receive a complaint.
I don't care.
No, we did actually reach out.
This is just one of the complaints. Let me share something with you guys. There are certain things that you can kind of joke around and play around with. But the moment you start encroaching into my family space, you better be careful. You better be careful. Because there is a lot at stake. Because he's not the only one who came out and be like, Jody mistreated me. Jody mistreated me. Jody mistreated me. Listen, there's one common number that nobody talks about. Every single one of these victims were Mormon, and they came from the Mormon Church, and they were advised and recommended by the Mormon Church to Jody. I mean, it's very clear to me. I'm suing you. Yes, I'm suing you, church, for every penny that you're worth, because my mental state is priceless. You won't be able to afford it. 100%. Now, you might ask yourself, they have the money. These people have enough money to go there and sue. And if they don't have enough money, make so much noise that you become so annoying that they will settle out of court. What? What do you mean? She was so deceptive that you contemplated self-harm. What do you mean that you were so... I can't compute. I can't relate. I cannot connect the dots in my head. I don't understand. I really don't understand. And then after all these years, now you're coming out with like, I'm also a victim. I mean, the Jody and Franke show was out for years. So Jody is not a stranger. She's not a stranger. You mean to tell me that these people were aware that Jody was doing shows with Franke and they knew about Franke and didn't say anything at all? Really? All right. I'm just the one who's crazy. Don't try me, though, because I will sue. I will sue. I won't even hesitate. There's a certain line you cross, there's no turning back at all. Listen to this stupid mess. It's one of the frontiers nobody wants to touch. Frankly, I don't understand why. Your kid's life are at stake. I'm touching everything in a legal way.
Can you describe your relationship with that family over the years?
So with Ruby and the Frankies specifically, it's just acquaintances. I mostly knew the greater family with the siblings and the in-laws and that whole culture because they all work together and click together like as a whole unit as Mormon family vloggers.
And again, that was in the state of Utah, correct?
Yeah, so when we started to do family vlogging ourselves, we met them at YouTube conventions. And then when we moved down to Southern Utah, several of Ruby's family came down, collaborated with us, and one of them even moved down. And that's when we got to know them a lot better and started going to meet them and see them behind the scenes at private parties and see what they're really like.
Right now, a couple of child abuse charges against Ruby and her business partner, Jody Hildebrandt. What do you make of those charges?
Honestly, it doesn't surprise me. While I wasn't aware of any overt abuse allegations like that are coming out now about Ruby. I think that a lot of people remember going back 4 or 5 years ago that it was Bonnie who was in the middle of a lot of attention and even had to go to YouTube headquarters and try to explain herself because a lot of her YouTube content showed her children having bloody noses and split lips, getting stitches and broken arms and fingers and going to the hospital frequently as though it was a form of clickbait to try and get views to their content. And it created an entire division on YouTube where ultimately they had to split from YouTube Kids to YouTube for Adults. And it affected a lot of content creators and should have stopped this. But apparently what you see on camera is not what you always have going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, of course.
To elaborate on that, what Ruby did we see on camera versus the Ruby that maybe you saw when the camera wasn't rolling?
I think that out in public and socially, unless you see them in a personal situation, like at a party or when they feel like they can let their guard down, what you're seeing on camera is a totally different person and a totally different life. There's an agenda to try and portray themselves as upstanding Mormons and to have that persona and they feel like it's fulfilling who they are and their purpose in life and everything. And so I think that creates a pressure cooker situation where they're willing to live a double life and hide a lot of generational family secrets. And we see that with Ruby, coming out right when she gets caught with all of this and accused, blaming her kids and throwing them under the bus for the abuse, instead of realizing who the adult parents are in the situation that are supposed to be home all day 24/7 as family vloggers supervising all of this.
Carl, in your mind, where does the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints fall into all of this?
I think that they create a fundamental problem with all of this in the fact that they have a system of looping people back into their own control measures to keep things contained, which is why you don't hear about the tens of thousands of abuse allegations in relation to the Boy Scouts of America, the 500 plus cases that are going on with the church right now, and the 12 new ones just this year. And they don't talk about it because, just like Jody Hildebrandt, they're funded, and the counseling and the therapists are all paid for and billing the church directly. So when Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke are sitting there filming their videos for their connections company, portraying themselves online as upstanding Mormons and examples to families in the community, their children are tied up in the basement, and then they're being paid and funded by the church in their billing cycles.
Do you hear that?
Have you met or been around Jody Hildebrandt?
I've never met Jody. I've just heard about her from all this case.
A
similar thing happened to me in my divorce as well, and I know this has happened to others. And so I'm starting to wonder if this is a prototype of something we're going to see more often, where families are broken apart, and it's the therapist attaching to one of the members of the family to try and start a business together and a podcast and doing some kind of online venture.
No.
The same thing happened to me at the end of my marriage, so it kind of didn't surprise me.
Is that why you've decided to speak out?
I think the end of my marriage all began when our family started associating with Ruby's siblings, and when all of this behind the scenes stuff went on, it really compromised my marriage. And the same pattern that you see playing out in some of these other families happened to me. And I'm not the only one that knew this family and met them and then ended up divorced about a year later under a similar pattern twice. And it also needs to bring awareness, I believe, to the bigger problem of how the Mormon Church as a whole funnels these problems in a way so that they stay swept under the rug and that the public doesn't hear about it, because there's no way possible that Ruby Franke's bishop and local church leadership weren't fully aware of what was going on, because that is the culture. You're not even allowed to go to church and participate unless you go do the confessionals and talk through all this. So if what Ruby said was true, and this went on for 5 years and spread throughout the family, I find it impossible that the local church leadership wasn't a part of it and didn't help keep it quiet and continue to pay Jody Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke to be representatives.
There. Which this right here puts a damper on anybody else who comes out and be like, me too, Jody assaulted Jody. I'm seeing there, where were you 3 years ago, 4 years ago? Where were you? Not minimizing your trauma. I'm just saying it just makes it a little bit uninteresting when I hear you come out now. But listen, maybe you missed it. Something very specific was said. The church is involved. Jody was recommended to you by this particular person. The church was paying and funding that Ruby Franke crap. How are you going to let the church out of it? That minimizes your complaint. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? You have to be an equal abuser in this case. You can't just be like, Jody assaulted me, but ignore the fact that Jody was recommended to you by the church. Everybody is involved. Everybody is to blame. You can't just pick one person and stick to it. That is not smart. And the thing that irritates me even the most is that all these people have children. Do any of them think about their kids? I don't understand. I don't understand people who make decisions without thinking, how is that going to affect my kid? I don't understand that. I am very different. That I will tell you that I agree, I'm very different. So, can't compute, can't connect. That's why it's super important to be yourself. You can't please everybody. People are not going to like you. Not everybody's going to love you. People will be upset with you. People will find you obnoxious. People will think you're ugly. People you think you're annoying. So what? Your value is not tied in somebody else's opinion. You better learn to be yourself. And you better learn to love yourself, because otherwise you're not going to go anywhere. You'll just be jungle. Yeah. No. Love yourself first. Because if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? Can I get an amen? Hi, RuPaul. Hi, RuPaul. Yes. Listen. No. Seriously. So this guy is saying that he was divorced because of Jody. All right. Well, like, now you coming out. Look, now he's coming out with this story. And clearly, based on his explanation, Jody and Franke were well known in that little Mormon religious family vlogging. So all these people coming out of woodwork, you knew Jody was working with Franke and children were involved. Have several seats and stop trying to play on my heartstrings. I am not a stupid man, and I hate when people take me for a stupid man. You want to know why? I tell you why. Because it's wasted time. No, I don't converse with stupid. I don't waste my time like that. Let me play with you the 911 phone call. Listen, you think this story is disgusting? You haven't seen anything yet.
Decide that. I don't think he needs an ambulance. I'll let the cops decide that, but his ankles are taped up and he won't tell us why.
Okay.
But he has duct taped around each ankle. Yeah, there's sores around them. I think there's a good chance he's been...
He also had...
Oh, and he has been around his ankles. I mean, his wrists as well. Okay, this boy has been... This kid has obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
Okay. Let's get the paramedics headed over that way, okay?
With a phone call like that, everybody's getting a lawsuit. With a phone call like that, Kevin. Look, how do you defend something like this? Look, these are very rich people. But then you ask yourself, how could that be? How could that go unpunished? How could that be? How could that be? How could that be? I'm going to tell you. Please. I know you know the answer. I know you might not want to hear it, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. How could it be? How did they get away with it? How could they get away with it?
I'm only going to say it one more time, and then you're going to lose the privilege to eat dinner.
This is Ruby Franke, the mom of 6 behind the popular parenting YouTube channel 8 Passengers. On August 30th, Franke and her business partner Jody Hildebrandt were arrested after Franke's 12-year-old son climbed out of a window of Hildebrandt's home to ask neighbors for food and water. The neighbors immediately called authorities after seeing that the malnourished boy had open wounds and duct tape around his wrists and ankles.
He's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
Utah police searched the Hildebrandt home and found Franke's 10-year-old daughter in a similarly malnourished state. On September 6th, Franke was formally charged with 6 counts of felony child abuse. So how did we get here? Ruby Franke had been regularly producing parenting vlogs since 2015. The controversial channel garnered more than 2 million followers before it was taken down by YouTube following the recent abuse charges. But the signs were there all along.
My bedroom was taken away for 7 months and then you give it back like a couple weeks ago.
Unless you find a friend who's willing to share some of their food with you, I don't think you're going to be able to eat. We're going to put a pillow and a blanket by the toilet. And you can camp out in the bathroom, okay? If you cut one more thing in my house, I'm going to take the scissors, look at me, and I'm going to cut its head off.
Grandma will be so mad.
Eve did
Look
not
at that.
take a lunch today. Hopefully nobody gives her food and nobody steps in and gives her a lunch. Sometimes I have to neglect the kids. And my kids are literally starving. I told the kids, I said, I'm not even gonna let you eat breakfast until you get your chores done.
This increasingly disturbing and controlling behavior was on display for years, causing backlash from concerned viewers. In 2020, some even created a petition for Child Protective Services to investigate the Frankies. Over the last 4 years, police made at least 15 visits to the Frankies' home, but nothing was done to protect the kids. After she was arrested, Frankie's older daughter Sherry said in an Instagram story, "We've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this." The father, Kevin Franke, claims he had no part in the abuse.
You have something in the bag that you would like out. You can pay cash for it. So you learn the value of your items. Or
you can do an equivalent value chore to get it back.
what's it?
And whatever isn't claimed by the end of the day goes in the garbage.
So why didn't CPS intervene sooner? It's possible that the family's wealth and race played a role. University of New Hampshire social work professor Vernon Brooks Carter looked at 418 substantiated cases of lack of supervision. Carter found that white kids were more likely to be inadequately supervised by their parents, but African American children under similar circumstances were more than 3 times as likely to be removed from their parents' care. Another study from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia revealed that between 2010 and 2014, white children were hospitalized for abuse assessment for shorter periods of time than black children, even if their injuries were more significant. So, did the system fail to protect the Franke kids from what was happening inside because of how the family looked from the outside?
And in the end, each of us will account to God.
You think if I was Ruby Frank, you think it would take 15 visits and, I don't know, 26 phone calls from Chapel? No, they would come here and snatch Olympia out of my hands. Okay? I don't have to explain any further. You know exactly what it is. There are certain things that you don't play with. And I'm going to be very honest. I'm uncomfortable. I'm very uncomfortable. I'm going to edit the hell of this video. You have no idea how much I did like 5 cartwheels. I screamed 1,000 times. I've cried already. You're probably not going to see any of it because I have to edit that out. Please, it's a mumble. I screamed at the computer, screaming in here. Yeah, I've been a mess, but I'm going to edit as much as I can out so I look presentable for those who are like, who is this black person screaming and shouting? I'm being an idiot. Anyway, listen to what one of her defenses. Okay, listen to this mess.
This is what love sounds like. When you see someone hurting, you acknowledge the hurt. If your kid came to you on fire, would you say, "I'm so glad you trusted me to tell me you're on fire. But if I put out the fire, that's going to really hurt and you're going to end up with scabs anyway. So I'm just going to love you where you are right now." No, you throw them on the ground and you start rolling them. You get a blanket and you start hitting the flames. And they're going to say, "You're hurting me. You're beating me. You're controlling." It's like, "No, dear, hold still. I'm getting the fire out." That's what a loving parent does. And because nobody will do it, it looks to the world crazy. And because they've never been loved before, it looks like I'm angry. To them, it looks like I'm controlling. It looks like I'm militant. It looks like I'm a monster. It looks like I'm mean. It looks like I'm full of hate. It looks like I'm not accepting it because they don't know what love looks like or sounds like.
Let me tell you something. Everything she just said is true. The difference here is that this was a gaslighting moment. This is a moment where she's telling you that the reason why you perceive her the way you perceive her is because you don't know what love is. You've never been loved, so you cannot judge me. Well, I don't know. go to my final thought. First of all, we all know what she did. We all know as a public opinion she's guilty. When I first broke this story out, I had no idea who this woman was. I had no idea that it was religiously related. I remember when I made the first video about it, I was very tired. And I was like, I don't have the time to do the research, so I'm just going to pop the camera and talk to your research as I go. So now that I understand, I have a clearer picture of who this monster is. It hits very differently. And every time a child is involved, especially torture, it really, 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 really triggers me. And the reason why is because I have a young daughter. And I have a lot of nieces and nephews who are very young. And they're transitioning to the realm of being teenagers, and where the world is not a nice place. And I just hope that they're not too ruffled. But don't worry, because Uncle Alistair is here. You ruffle any of mine, you're going to see my face. I mentioned a lot about suing and suing and suing, and maybe you were annoyed about it. Frankly, I quite don't care. I'll tell you why. It's because that's the only way I know how to fight. I will never put my hands on you. Don't try it, though, because I can defend myself. But in this situation, that's the only way I know how to fight. When I get frustrated, I don't just sit there and walk away. No, if it eats me up here, I can't just sit still. You will hear from me. And the reason why that's important, and this is my view, the reason why it's important that you have the ability to bring lawsuits, it's because lawsuits is what generate responsibility. I tell you why. Lawsuits is what creates accountability. Because if there was nothing to hold you accountable, then anybody could have been like, oh yeah, sure, why not? No, the fear of lawsuit forces you to double check, to look, to pay attention. And if you make a mistake, you're liable. If you look at insurances, it says very clearly, gross negligence, you're not covered. It makes you sure that you are responsible and you are held to a higher standard. It's important to be at peace with yourself. PACT Nation, honestly, was born on that principle. That's the principle, PACT Management. That's my management company. Please, that's how I run my life. Peace. I know who I am. I don't have to explain to you who I am. And you cannot come and be like, oh my God, he's so gay. So I am. Oh my God, he's so black. So I am. Oh my God, he's so loud. So I am. There's nothing you can tell me that's going to offend me. Do you want to know why? Because I know who I am. I don't need your validation to make me feel good. Peace. I'm at peace with myself. Action. Just because I'm nice and I'm at peace with myself does not give you the right to step all over me. Please don't try it. Don't do it. Action. I don't fight with my fist, but I'll see you in court, no matter who it is. But you could be the government, no matter who it is. You could be Jeff Bezos. Don't try it. Even Elon Musk. Don't try it. Compassion. Because even though I'm hot-headed, I have compassion. Always show compassion. T. Tolerance. Do you want to know why tolerance? Because nobody's perfect. Someone will offend you tomorrow, someone will offend you today, and they will offend you next week. That's part of human nature, to be annoyingly imperfect. So expecting perfection, expecting consistency without contingency, it's quite idiotic. I'll tell you why. Okay? The lady who cleans the wall, maybe she has the flu. Maybe she has a cold. She can't scrub that hard. What do you fire her because she didn't scrub, didn't do a good job today? No. The person who makes you laugh all the time, he has a bad day. Oh, you're not his friend anymore because he didn't make you laugh yesterday? No. You have to have tolerance. You follow that principle, let me tell you something. You will be so much happier. I wish people sued more. I don't think we sue enough. I wish average people sued more. I wish average people, and you might be like, oh, it's too much money. Yes, it is a lot of money to sue. That's true. But if you have a strong case, you can negotiate with the lawyers and be like, look, I have a strong case. They will show up and do the work pro bono until they get paid. Look at George Floyd. Please, Al Sharpton, have several seats. I have my issues with him too. But look, they were swarming around him all day. They didn't have the money to hire the lawyers, but they did it pro bono. Listen, if you have a strong case, take your case, shop around. You'll see. It'll work. Anyway, let's go to my Let's Talk. Jeez. If you're at my Let's Talk, that means you like me. Perfect. I like you too, but there's conditions to my friendship. Period. What's the condition? Press like, subscribe. No, but honestly, I think there's this idea that just because we're friends that we have to agree on everything. No, just because we're friends, I have to do whatever you want. No, there are conditions. There are conditions on everything I do. There are conditions. I'm married, and there are conditions on my marriage. Okay, they are. Even Olympia has conditions. She can't be a murderer. That's the only condition. Yeah. Everything else I think I can support. Murder, I cannot. I just cannot. Because I am raising her not to choose violence. Matter of fact, this is how I plan on raising Olympia, okay? Stand up for yourself. Absolutely speak your mind. Absolutely speak your mind. But you curate who you're speaking to and how you convey the message. But always remember, if you're in a position of danger, no, honey, you make yourself so small until you escape and come home, and then we get them together. Okay? Of course, there's conditions. Everything is conditions. Life is not it depends. Everything depends. Look at me, swing states. Yeah, don't be afraid. I know it's scary and daunting at first. Don't be afraid. Why Iowa? They were refusing to allow me to adopt Olympia. Please, I don't think I told you the story. Every hospital with the surrogacy, there's a contract involved on every aspect. The hospital is a private hospital, and the surrogate has surrogate insurance, and that hospital took that surrogate insurance. You know, she's from Iowa, so it's too much to travel. So we're like, we'll pick a private hospital over there in Iowa. We go over there, sign the paperwork. Please, we have lawyers. We have 2 lawyers. We have here in Jersey and 1 in Iowa. You understand? So we get everything drawn up with a Jersey lawyer, and then they work in conjunction with the Iowan lawyer. Please, the hospital is also a party. The FDA is also involved. Please, so many parties. It's a big headache. So we go over there, and everybody signs on the dotted line. Time comes for the birth. This stupid social worker was like, you know, I can't put father and father. We need to put the woman's name. She needs a mother. I said, look, in this situation, I'm the one who talks. I'm the one who talks because Christopher is too nice. You can't be too nice. You have to be stern, frank, and you have to say keywords that send jolt down your spine. I have experience. So I go, she goes, we can't have 2 dads. That's not how we do it here. In our hospital, the birth certificate needs to be, there needs to be a woman in there. I looked at her and I said, I'm sorry, but gay marriage is recognized federally, so have several seats. I said that to her just like that. Have several seats. She was like, what? Even Chris giggled, and I think that made her upset. As if I care. As if I care. As if I care. There's a contract. There is a contract. So she wanted to flex her little muscles because she was like, well, I'm a social worker from the state, and we have this policy, this and this and this and that. I'm like, there's a contract. I don't know who you're talking to. There's a contract. You could do cartwheels in front of me. There's a contract with the signature of this hospital. There's a contract. You could vomit all you want. There's a contract. There's a contract. So she decided to flex her muscles. She refused to release the birth certificate under the specific terms. What do you think I did? So I called a Jersey lawyer. I said, "This is what's going on." But we were tired, by the way. It was a long drive, exhausted. But look, here's what's going on. Jersey lawyer is like, "What?" It's like, "Please, I'm tired. Just take my word for it. What do we do?" Okay, I called the Iowa lawyer. Perfect. Wake up in the morning, Iowa lawyer. Okay, what is going on? What's happening? Because we're driving. We have to leave. Go back to Jersey. Iowa lawyer is like, "It's okay. I got it." Yeah, we send a nice lawsuit to the hospital. Please, and you know what? Once this starts, you pay my legal fees. Oh, please. Please. They released. Look. They fought back. By the way, the hospital fought back. So because when you send a lawsuit, it's not the social worker. It's an entity. They fought back, and so we were like, oh wait, they're really fighting this. Okay, I get in the car. I'm like, whatever. There's a contract, and I was ready to go. all the way up to the Supreme Court. By the way, please. I'm gonna make noise. I would make noise. I would have made so much noise. I probably would have ground rooted something. Yeah, I was ready to go. I was like, we're going to Supreme Court. F that. Driving the car. I wasn't even worrying about it because I knew lawyers were handling it. Now the thing when it became very problematic is when I needed the birth certificate to continue my paperwork. She needs to get the French passport. I need the paperwork. She needs the social. I need the paperwork. Now that is when I was like, oh really? You really gonna push my hand like that? Really? Because they were not budging, and they were not budging. Like, who is this black person thinking he comes in here, tells me to have several seats, and sues us? Who the hell does he think he is? Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell you exactly the date because I have to adopt Olympia, and in order for her to get all the paper, I need to prove I'm the father, at least adoptive father. So the birth certificate was holding everything up. And taxes. Please, I want my tax breaks. So, honey, they were playing with my money. They were playing with my family. And they were playing with my safety. They hit all three. All I saw was red. So I said, okay. I called a lawyer in Jersey. And I said, what are my options? He said, well, we can sue for them to release the records, so Olympia records can be here in Jersey, from Iowa to Jersey, and then from Jersey we can take the adoption. But that would take about like 6 months to a year. I said, no, I need another option. That's too long because I need the paperwork for my kid. Because remember, Olympia, there's insurance involved with Olympia's health. They're like, you said there was a baby. Where's the baby? Where's the social? Do you understand? Yeah. There's a lot of stuff into play into this. So I said, no, that's too long. That doesn't work. And then the lawyer's like, okay, fine. So then he calls the lawyer from Iowa. He's like, well, what can you do here? What do you know of the law here? And the lawyer Iowa was like, I don't understand what's going on. This has never happened before. And by the way, this happened. I don't want to go into too much to politics anyway. This incident happened in a particular situation, in a particular moment, in a particular moment during a political situation that made people very bold into their conviction. It's okay. It's okay because I won. It's okay. So then what happened was, where was I? Yeah, called the lawyer in Iowa. Lawyer was like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, this is unheard of. I've never seen this. Like, it's not moving, and I don't quite get it. So I said, all right, we're suing the state. They looked. My lawyer in Jersey was like, you don't want to do the option to release the documents? Like, no, they're breaking the federal law. Please, they're using a state situation for their excuse. No, we sue the hospital and we sue the state because the social worker. Please, she's the one behind not willing to release it, and this is what happened. We send the lawsuit on Thursday. No, we do the lawsuit. They receive it on Thursday. On Friday, we get a judge to write an order to release that birth certificate from the hospital. and expedite it, because by that time it was Olympia was 6 months. So we had 6 months with juin, juillet, août, septembre, octobre, novembre. That's right, 5 months. She was 5 months old. We had no papers already. Expediting, and we got her birth certificate that Friday. Okay? Now, okay? Please, they saw that lawsuit. They were like, oh my God. And a gay couple and a black person. Oh my God, please. Oh my God, the PR. Please, please. Just give them the freaking paper. Give them the paper. And it was written the way we wanted it to be written. Father and parent. Yeah. Forget the woman, please. Please. That's not what we wanted. You could throw stones all you want. Look, dodge, dodge, dodge. Oh, tomatoes? Dodge, dodge, dodge. Get out of here with that. I don't give a crap. It was one of the most upsetting days of my life. Matter of fact, I was upset we didn't go to Supreme Court. And you best believe I got compensated for that. You think they didn't pay for those legal fees? Out of your mind. No, we put that in there. Now you got to pay up. You got to pay up. That's what you get for being a DICK. Play with me. Anyway, that's just one of many stories. The daycare situation, almost with them too. I sue. That's how I know how to fight. I don't put my hands on you. I stay very quiet, but behind the scene, when I get home the next morning, I call my lawyer. What do we do about this? I sue. I sue. If it's too egregious, if you cross the line of my safety, you're probably going to be sued. If you interfere with my kid, you're probably going to be sued. If you interfere with my money, I'm probably going to sue you. Those three, probably. And if we're not friends, if we're friends, I can have a conversation. But if you're just a stranger acting a fool, no, I go home, I survive, I get information I can get. And if you're establishment, you're liable. Please, everybody has insurance. Insurance has money. I'm going to get some of that. Don't play with my three things. Don't touch my kid. Don't threaten my safety. And don't touch my money. Period. Ruby Frank is so annoying. It's torture. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, imagine your child is saying, I'm hungry, and you're there laughing. Like, it's unfathomable for me, for me to understand. And I get it. Everybody has different parenting styles, you know? But you best believe I'm feeding my kid. I could be mad at you. Olympia, you're grounded for the rest of your life. I'm hungry. Okay, what do you want to eat? Yeah. Or, okay, come out of your little hole. Let's go eat. Let's go to the restaurant. What do you want to eat for dinner? Right? No food? I don't understand this idea that, like, why would you have kids then? Why would you pop kids if it's not to make them the best version of yourself possible? The best. Not every parent can provide the best, but the best you can get, right? You can even set up a business, put it under your kid's name, and get paid from it? No. I wouldn't. No, if I set up a business, I'd be like, Olympia, this is yours. I'm going to teach you how to run it. You can keep it. I wouldn't be like, you didn't pay me. What? Like all these child stars, why would you steal from your kids? Makes absolutely no sense. It's like, why would you have kids? Your purpose as a parent, this is my opinion, I guess, is to just give your kid the best possible leg forward in this race called life. And don't make them spoiled brat in the making. No, Olympia will scrub the floor. not the board. Not like Ruby Frank. But she'll do chores around the house. But those chores are going to be done, and they're not going to be priority. They're going to be done at the beginning, 1 day a week first. Please. Because she needs to be a kid. She needs to be stupid. She needs to play. She needs to dream. She needs to dream and run around and look at the figs and be like, oh, what if I do that? What if I do that? She needs to sink into the creativity of a child. That's what starts the process of critical thinking, because it opens your mind to different point of view. And then make friends with everybody. Make friends. Got friends. Friends. Talk to everybody. That's how you understand somebody else's point of view. Forget chores for now. And then when you get the basics, I'm like, okay, Olympia, ow, help me cook. Oh, my back, do some laundry. Yeah, chores is like 15, 16. Yeah, the younger years, no, let them be kids. When they're teenager, then you're like, okay, well, you clean the bathroom. Okay. But always have a meal. The meal should be the fun part. What are we eating? Let's eat outside. Let's have a picnic. Please, these are the best thing. Oh, I remember one of my best memories. Oh, Mom. Mom used to love to play tennis. I was a tennis champion when I was a teenager. Oh, yes. And one day I won the competition, the league. And she brought Coca-Cola for me. And I was like, no, I'm gonna play. I didn't drink water. And I was so into it. And I wanted to impress my mom, to be quite honest. And when I won, I was like, Mommy, I won! And she goes, yeah, you won! And I ran to her and I hugged her. And she was laughing, full laughter. And then I took the sip of Coca-Cola and I didn't even care about the trophy. They were like, Alistair! I was like, oh, okay, sure. And I remember, because I was a chatty kid, and I was like, Mommy, did you look at me? She was like, yes, I saw you. Mommy, did you see how I ran? She was like, yeah, I saw how you ran. Because my mom was in the Olympics. She was a track star. I shouldn't say that. No. She was on track to become the nominee for Cameroon Olympics, whatever. And then she met my dad. But anyway, that changed the plans. But, and so running was a thing. And she had a Peugeot at the time. And so, the Coca-Cola, and people were like, congratulations, like, whatever. I really wasn't paying attention. I was just so happy to have my mom. It was just me and my mom. So happy. And then, and then we left. We get in a car. And this is Africa, Burkina Faso. It's very desert-like. We get in a car. And we drive. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I didn't know if we were going home or not. And we drive to the park. And my mom pulled out of the trunk. She takes the trunks and she pulls out a picnic basket. And in the picnic basket, it was my favorite food, which was salami, cheese, bread, pickles. Oh, it was so great. And a lot of it, because I'm a glutton. So she like double. Oh, and cashews. And she puts the blanket on the thing, and I remember I was so excited. And she said, I knew you were going to win, so I brought this and we're gonna eat. And we sat down and we were eating, and I remember telling her, I was like, so Mommy, why is the sky really blue? And I did ask that because in Burkina Faso there's a lot of dust, so the sky is not always blue clear. And I was asking her in relation, because the next question after that is like, well, how come then, if the sky is blue like that, then how come is this a little bit red? And that's what she told me. Well, because of the dust, and a little bit of wind, and there's a lot of dust. You know what I mean? So it has a red tint hue to it. And I asked her, Mommy, how do we get? I remember it's like night and day. How do we get an apartment? How do you get a job? And then how do you keep the job? And we were there for, oh my God, the whole afternoon. And we stayed there, and then we lay down. And I remember one of my favorite things, this is me as a teenager, one of my favorite things to do, teenager, 13, 14, 15, I don't freaking remember. 13, yeah, because I was not in the US yet. 30. Oh no, it was younger, maybe 11. Doesn't matter. I was very young, and I remember one of my favorite things to do was I love to take naps with my mom, and I would put my ear on her bicep, and she would envelope me, and I remember I would make noise on her bicep with my ears, and I said, And I used to say, Mommy, isn't it funny? And she'll laugh. And then we sat on the picnic, and after we ate, because, you know, we get the itis, we get sleepy. After we ate, we lay down on the mat, and she embraced me like she normally does, and we fell asleep. And we woke up really late. And then we get into the car laughing, like, oh my God. What people are going to say? There was no cell phone at the time, right? So it's like, where's my wife and my kid? And we got home, and then my mom, my mom is an African woman. You know how we do in Africa. It's a little bit, we're noisy. We get into the house, and my mom is like, hey, Alice, that one. Hey, Alice, that one. Hey. And then my sisters and my brothers were like, Alice, that one. Yeah, Alice, that one. And we just all bump into a dance. This is the evening. Yeah. I had the best childhood, minus the man, minus my father. You think about a picture, best childhood. I would never forget those memories. Although I do get very sad lately. I do get very sad because I'm very well aware of my mother's mortality. I'm very well aware of it. I'm not saying she's sick or anything, but every time I see her, it gets a little bit different. And I don't know what it feels like to lose a parent. I don't do well with death. And I'm not saying she's going to go anywhere, but every time I see her, and it's happening so fast, because I see her regularly, I'm just like, she looks so different. In my mind, I don't tell her that, She looks so different. It's like it's not the mom that I remember when I was a kid. It's different. It scares the hell out of me. My mom was my protector. She did the best she could. But don't touch Alistair. And I remember when my father wanted to hit me, she said, "Don't you dare touch my kid." Mm-hmm. Of course, my dad is a monster, so he was like, "Oh, really?" And then when she realized that he was gonna do it, she goes, "Run, Alistair, run!" I'll never forget that. And I said, "Yes!" And I ran. Oh, please. My mom said, "Run, run." I ran, and my father couldn't catch me. I was really fast. I'm still very fast. I was very fast. I ran around the pool. He couldn't get me. He was so mad. He was so mad, like, "You don't come back to this house." But of course, in the back door, my mom sucked me in, gave me dinner. She's like, "Good job." Good job. You ran. I said, "Yes, oh, yeah, I ran." It was so cool. Yeah. And my mom knew that she could say one thing and I would do it. I trusted my mom blindly. And before that whole religion situation, she never abused it. She always had my best interests at heart. Everything she did. Oh, mother. I just get very scared. I just get very scared. It's like at any moment now, like, you don't understand. The image of my mom now is so different. It's so different. Even her abilities is different. She hangs on to the rail now and goes down one step at a time. I just, when the day comes, because it will happen. Nobody lives forever. I don't know what it would do to me. I know when that day comes, I will disappear for however long I need. I think that's when in the back of my mind, I'm like, I need to retire at 45. because I know that day will come, and I know how I am, and I know it will be a complete disaster. So I'm like, you know what? I need to prepare myself for the day where I'm just gonna stay in bed forever. Although this was a plan before a baby, so now there's a baby. I don't know how I will react, because now I have to be somebody else's anchor. And can I tell you, it's the best responsibility ever, to be somebody else's anchor. When Olympia looks at me, she just surrenders herself to me, and it's like, how can I betray that? I could never betray that. At least not at this stage. What? It's blind faith. Like, she could literally fall off the cliff with me, and she'd be like, oh, I guess we're fine. Kids, people who hurt kids, monsters. Anyway, gotta go. Bye. There's gonna be a live on Friday. I'll let you guys all know. Goodbye. What the fuck was that? Get your man out of the gutter. It's just a mic. Goodbye.